topics a bit, and we are welcoming 2 new guests. Please welcome Marguerite Lorenz, who is a certified trust and financial advisor and professional fiduciary. Her website, estateplanning101.org, and also Dr. Bob Uslander, who is a concierge doctor, and his website is drbobuslander.com. That's DRBOBUSLANDR.com. So we are going to be talking about what we can do the later stages of people's lives to make them comfortable and make them happy. So we've already talked about kind of the plan of setting up the plan and what would happen when they get older, and now we're going to be talking about how we implement that plan. And more specifically, when we get to what I called the twilight years, you probably call it's something else. So I'm not that old, but what are some of, none of us are that old.
Right.
But I do have a 26-year-old daughter, so I have to be of a certain age.
But may I ask a question? Are you over 18?
I am over 18.
Okay, so everyone over 18 needs a plan.
So what are some of the provisions I should have, knowing that I'm over 35 and less than 60? What are some of the things I should have in my will? I have children, what are some of the things, knowing that those twilight years are coming down the road, what are some of the things specifically I should have?
Well, first I'm going to say that you should really consult an estate planning attorney because doing the documents yourself, yes, it's possible, and I can't answer any legal questions. I am not an attorney. But as the person who implements the plans, what I can tell you is that you have a trust, a will, a power of attorney for finance, and an advanced healthcare directive. And each of those documents control different aspects of who's responsible. So let me give you a big concept. When you have an estate plan, you're not just deciding what's going to happen to your stuff or to your person when you become incapacitated, you resign or die. You're also giving someone else authority to be the decision maker. And this is really a tough concept for a lot of folks, because I want you to think about driving your car. You drive your car. Not only do you drive it, you maintain it. You make sure it's full of gas. You pay the insurance for it. You know when something's going on with your car. You have a relationship with your car. I'm speaking to most Californians as I say that, right? But the idea of someone else driving your car, well, that's the car you maintained. That was the car you filled with gas, but we know how quickly gas goes, right? So the idea is now you have to hire somebody else who's not only going to drive it, but also maintain it and make sure that it gets you where you want to go. So it's a big leap to say, oh, my kids will take care of it, and then realize that means your kids are going to find out a lot of intimate things about you that you might not want them to know. How much money you have, who you're dating, where you keep your secret stash, all those things. So it's a really important consideration, not only how is it going to get done, but who's going to do it.
We're talking with Marguerite Lorenz. She is a certified trust and financial advisor and professional fiduciary. Her website is estateplanning101.org, estateplanning101.org. So I have learned that there's all of these possibilities for people that are over 55, over 60. And I know you help families, help people make decisions about kind of places they can go. Tell us a little bit about the choices, because it's not just stay in your home or go to a nursing home anymore. There's all kinds of different variations of that, right?
Well, sure. When you're deciding how you're going to live the rest of your life, where you live is really important, but also what services are provided, what needs will be met. Are you going to have any fun? And so it's not just the location, it's what you can afford. So I get concerned about anybody who gets a reverse mortgage or opens a new credit card line without looking at their whole financial picture. Well, it's the same thing for care. When you're thinking about it, you're developing a care plan. Like if you play bridge and you go to the club to go play bridge, you want to be sure that you don't miss any of those meetings. Maybe you need a caregiver to drive you. Somebody has to be considerate of how you're already living your life, what is normal to you. And we've had a couple of patients in common, so I call them clients, Bob probably calls them patients, but that idea is that you need a little help to assess. So your agent for healthcare doesn't just decide whether or not to pull your plug. They're also deciding about where you're going to receive the care that you need, and they should work in concert with whoever's managing the checkbook. because those decisions have to be combined, and the discussion has to be about what do you want. So a board and care is one of the examples. That might be a lesser expensive place than, say, an assisted living residence where they have independent assisted living and a skilled nursing facility on the same campus. Some places require that you buy in, some you just pay rent. But to be a smart consumer, I recommend that you speak to someone like Dr. Bob or a geriatric care manager who's seen lots of residents in lots of places. Care in the home, and this is what most people don't know, is the most expensive arrangement, depending on if you need 24/7 care. So if you needed the hospital to be in your own bedroom, it could be super expensive, to the tune of more than $20,000 a month. The board and care I mentioned might be $4,000 to $6,000 a month, and then there's all that in between. So in San Diego and surrounding areas, we have lots of great choices, but you have to be smart about it, and I suggest talking with a professional who visits lots of people in those places to help you begin your search.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So if a person becomes incapacitated and they can't make their own decisions, because that does happen sometimes, tell us a little bit about what you do as a private fiduciary to help them in that situation.
My goal is to get to know someone before they trust me with everything. It may be shocking to know that I have received phone calls from doctors in a hospital asking me to make a medical decision for someone who named me as their agent, but whom I've never met. So it's really good to let the person know that you're selecting to be your successor and to be your agent, that they have the job. Give them a chance to ask questions and get to know you.
So you've actually been named by people who you didn't even know that you were named?
That's correct.
Not only had you not met them, but you didn't even know that you were their named
Exactly.
trustee fiduciary.
Exactly. So I appreciate that I'm trusted so much. I do. And I have a wonderful staff and so on. But when you name a person to be on your documents, you're expecting that person to be 100% responsible for all the consequences of all the choices that they make. And even though I'm skilled at it and I have some experience, it's really good to talk to the person you're naming. Don't surprise your kids with this job, okay?
Yes.
But to what you asked, in terms of getting to know someone, it informs me so much. Like, for instance, someone who has a pet. Not every residence, not every new senior apartment will take a pet. Well, especially not the Mastiff. Maybe the Chihuahua, but not the Mastiff. So knowing who you love and what you expect of your people and your pets and how you like to live your life and what you do for fun is just as important to me as what medicines you have in your cabinet and what your safety issues are, or if you've ever had an accident, or if you're still driving or not. I mean, I have hundreds of questions to ask someone as patiently and kindly as I can to get to know them, to find out what they want.
And you also do some of the administrative financial tasks as well too. So you can be one of the people that Christine and Joan talked about when they're setting up their estate plan, that as a trustee or a person that helps pay for bills and take care of the household. And
right now I only do that if I'm actually the trustee, named under the power, and also named under the power of attorney for finance and executor of the will. A family member might be an ideal agent for healthcare, but you have to keep in mind that asking a beneficiary to make medical or financial decisions for you might put them in an awkward place. Even if they do a great job, there may be a supposition that somehow they took advantage of their position. So be considerate of the politics you're causing by who you're selecting to do the work. A bank or a trust company should not serve as your power of attorney for finance. They sell financial products. I don't. And they will not serve as your agent for healthcare. So even if you think, oh yeah, my bank will do all the money stuff, you still have to think about how you're going to live and how that's going to bridge with your finances and your needs. How is the communication going to happen? So there's a lot of logistics to consider as you might be handing over your checkbook to someone else to pay your bills.
yes.
And don't do that with just anybody. There's a lot of daily money managers, but you want to be sure that people are insured and they have good systems in place and good internal controls. If you're working with someone who works out of their home, just know they do all the jobs and nobody else sees their work until they show it. When you're dealing with a firm, like there's a dozen people in my office. We have good internal controls. We separate up the jobs. One person opens the mail, another person makes the deposits. So you have to consider how the work is going to get done and who will do it.
Well, it sounds like you do a good job and take a lot of care to make sure that you kind of know the people and know what their needs are. So, Marguerite
Thank you.
Lorenz, she
Thank you.
is a certified trust and financial advisor as well as a professional fiduciary. Her website, estateplanning101.org, estateplanning101.org. We're going to